Welcome, students, to this topic or to this lesson where we are discussing reproduction in animals. Reproduction in animals involves sexual reproduction, and sexual reproduction involves the fusion of gametes. In animals, two individuals are involved, where we have a male and a female, and there are special organs called gonads that produce gametes. In males, testes produce the sperms, while the females' ovaries produce ova. The fusion of male and female gametes to form a zygote is called fertilization. The gametes are haploid, while the zygote is diploid, meaning they have the number of chromosomes, while the zygote is having double the number of chromosomes. That is 2n, because we have haploid gametes and from the male and haploid gametes from the female. And there are two types of fertilization. We have external and internal fertilization. And in external fertilization, it takes place in water, and mostly amphibians exhibit external fertilization. In this case, the male mounts on the female and sheds sperms on the eggs as they are laid. The eggs are covered by a slippery jelly-like substance which provide protection against predators. Example of an amphibian is the case of a frog. So the male frog will mount or will climb on a female frog which is laying eggs, so that it can shed or pour some sperms so that the eggs are fertilized. So this fertilization is outside the body. That is why it is called external fertilization. Now, apart from providing protection, the slippery jelly-like substance also separates the eggs from each other to allow passage or circulation of air within the eggs. The substance also attaches the eggs to water plants and makes it buoyant so that it can float on water, and as it attaches to water plant, it ensures that these eggs are not swept by the water currents. In the process, many eggs are released so that it can increase the chances of survival. Now we move to internal fertilization, and it occurs in reptiles, birds, and mammals. Fertilization occurs within the body of the female. In this case, fewer eggs are produced because there are higher chances of fertilization, because sperms are deposited in the body of the female. So there is protection of the eggs. Now let us consider how reproduction in mammal take place. After fertilization, the fertilized egg develops within the female's body in the uterus. So, and mammals, remember, are those organisms that give birth to live young ones, and they are called mammals because they suckle their young ones with mammary glands that contain milk. And there are 3 development ways of a fertilized egg, classified depending on the place of further development. We have the first one called oviparity, and it is shown by egg-laying mammals, normally known as monotremes. In this case, the embryo develops within the female's body. For example, the duck-billed platypus. We also have oviparity. Here, the embryo development is within the mother's body and is nourished by the egg yolk. So the embryo is going to obtain nutrients from the egg yolk. The young ones are born alive, for example, some fish and some reptiles. Lastly, we have viviparity, and here the embryo obtains nutrients directly from the mother's body, and this is shown by placental mammals like human beings. However, in some situations, some mammals develop development of the embryo occurs up to certain level, then released from the placenta to a bag-like structure called the pouch, where development is completed, as in the case of marsupials like kangaroo. You might have seen kangaroo, it is having something like a bag on its belly that is called a pouch. So it is ejected from the placenta to complete its development on that structure. We move forward to look at the structure of male reproductive system. This is the structure of a male reproductive system. We have the penis. Inside the penis is the urethra, and the penis is covered by a foreskin. We have the testes covered by a scrotum, and inside the testes are seminiferous tubes. And then alongside the testes is the epididymis and the sperm ducts, and then also attached to this structure is a gland. Some glands, we have the prostate gland, and also we have the corpus gland. Now we look at the testes first. So each testis is a mass of numerous long coiled tubes called the seminiferous tubules. So these tubules inside are coiled to form the seminiferous tubules, and the function of the seminiferous tubule is to provide large surface area for sperm production. Then the inner lining of these tubes, or the seminiferous tubules, are the giant secretory cells that provide nutrients to the sperms. Each sperm is enclosed within a scrotal sac that suspends the sperms or the testes between the legs. So the testes are suspended between the thighs to ensure a lower temperature that is favorable for the survival of sperms. Then the other structure is the seminiferous tubules. The lining of the seminiferous tubules consists of actively dividing cells that give rise to sperms. Between the seminiferous tubules are interstitial cells that produce hormones called the androgens. For example, testosterone. So the male hormones are called androgens, and an example of such hormone is testosterone. The seminiferous tubules then unite to form the epididymis, which stores the sperms temporarily. The sperm duct, also called the vas deferens, is a tube through which sperms are carried from the testes to the urethra. We have the structure called the seminal vesicle that produces an alkaline or basic secretion which nourishes the spermatozoa. The prostate gland, on the other hand, produces also an alkaline secretion that counteracts the acidity of the vaginal fluid, as well as activating the sperms. Then is the corpus gland that secretes an alkaline fluid that neutralizes the acidity along the urethra. And this acidity along the urethra is due to pH variation of the urine. So all these fluids combine with the spermatozoa to form the semen. Then the urethra is that tube used for expulsion of urine. Lastly, we have the penis, and this one is an introemittent organ which is inserted into the vagina during copulation or sexual intercourse, and it is made up of spongy tissue, muscle, and numerous blood vessels. During sexual activity, the penis erects by having its spongy tissue filled with blood, enabling it to become erect so that it can penetrate to the vagina to deposit or to pass the sperms into the female reproductive tract. Then we complete that lesson on the male reproductive system. Complete this assignment. You may replay or pause or replay the video so that you can capture this assignment. See you in the next lesson.